Ciao ragazzi, welcome to JSG podcast. Hello and greetings to all Bianconera families around the world. Welcome back to the podcast channel. The podcast brought to you by Juventus Club of Singapore. For today, a very special episode. A very special guest will join me in this channel. For today, episode number 10. So, without further ado, let's start the show. Okay, guys, welcome back again to JSG Podcast. As for today, a very special episode, episode number 10, and we have a very special guest in the house. The one, the only, the co-founder of the Juventus Club Singapore, Farah. Welcome to the channel.
Hi, Iskandar. Thank you for inviting me. The pleasure is mine.
So, you can share with the viewers the experience you have, the journey that you have from the start, how everything was started with Juventus. So, everything is yours. Please.
So how I became a Juventus fan, or how the Juventus club in Singapore started?
Yeah, we will go the history, how you became a Juventus fan, and how everything like in Singapore it started.
Okay, it's a very long history, and I've told the story a million times. So if you've heard it before, bear with me.
Yeah.
I grew up in a sporting family. My father was in sports, and we always had footballers around the house. But my first World Cup, the first World Cup that I remember, right, was Italia 90. And that was obviously the tournament of Toto Schillaci, but for me, more critically, it was Robbie Baggio. It was Robbie Baggio's first World Cup. And I always say that it's fortunate that was the summer that he was sold to Juve, right? Because I could have turned out to be a Fiorentina fan. How scary is that? I've got good friends who are Fiorentina fans, and I love them, and they always laugh when I tell them this. But obviously Robbie Baggio went to Juve, and I followed that. I know he left to many clubs afterwards, but I stuck around. I didn't. That's the story.
So when that you watched that World Cup, as you say, in 1990, are you in Singapore or some other countries in this world?
Oh, I've always been in Singapore. Well, except when I'm in Turin, but yeah, I'm in Singapore. I grew up in Singapore, right? So
okay.
yeah.
So that's the so what makes you decided to set up the club in Singapore? What makes you decided at that moment? Are you before that? Are you surprised there are many fans in Singapore is supporting Juventus on that time?
Yeah, well, I think okay. So I'll answer your later question first. But yeah, the thing about Italian football in Singapore, if you grew up in Singapore in the 90s, like I did, Italian football was big at that time, right? And a lot of my fans were Man U. A lot of my friends were Man U fans. It was the era of David Beckham, and all of that. And I was happy to be the rebel in that group. And then it kind of, early 2000s, okay, but then it kind of dwindled, right? And we know what happened in 2006. What happened in 2006 in Singapore as well was that Serie A got taken off TV. And that was ironic, right? Because Italy had just won the World Cup, and the League of the World Champions is no longer available in this country. Of course, at the same time, Juve went down to Serie B. I crashed 3 computers that season. We won't talk about how we all tried to
Yes,
get
good, yeah.
that, get footage and all of that. Yeah, but I think it must have been in 2008, 9, maybe thereabouts, when Facebook started coming up and all of that, and by accident, I suppose, I stumbled upon a Facebook group, and it was literally like a handful of people, and Chris, who was still in the Juventus Club Singapore committee. Chris was the first member of that group.
Okay.
A cousin of his was the one who set up the group, and Chris was member number 1. After the group was set up, and that's how long we've been friends, right? About 12 years now. And that was a nice little community. It was informal, but it was a gathering of sorts. And it must have been I don't know. It must have grown to about maybe 80 people or so when Juventus announced that they were coming to Singapore in 2014 to open our national stadium, right? And so, of course, that's when a lot of Juve fans started coming out of the woodwork, and we started realizing that there were, well, I want to say many, but in the context of Singapore, every time we say many compared to the EPL clubs, it's not many, but it's many for us. And I think that's important, right? That's what matters. And so in 2014, when Juve came to Singapore, we were not official in any way, we were just a Facebook group of 80 people that more people were joining, but we ended up being able to create our own curva. We worked with the event company who really squeezed us, made us work for them for free because they knew we were desperate for training passes and all of that shit, right? So anyway, and so we sort of, I don't want to say we sold tickets, but we were kind of the conduits, right? Because they did not have a Juve sector dedicated on the ticketing system like they did at ICC. We had to create that sector ourselves by selling X number of tickets to people that we knew. And that's how we met our friends in Indonesia and Malaysia. There were so many Juve fans from around the region who traveled in 2014. And we made little curva. If you look for it, you're going to still find footage of it, right? There must have been about 300-400 people in that curva. And that was a big deal, at that point in time.
Sorry to interrupt you. By hearing that story, I have goosebumps, it's so exciting about that. So yeah, please continue. Sorry.
Oh no, it's fine. And
all over.
and it was an exciting time for us because we didn't know what we were doing. We were I would say this, right? We were driven by passion, and that was all there was. There was nothing else, We did it because we all loved Juve. We had that thing in common among all of us. And the other thing that I do always say is that little curva of 300-400 people from around Southeast Asia, we were so loud that they heard us in Turin because a couple of months later,
wow.
I mean, say it figuratively, right? Because a couple of months later, we got an email from Juve to say, do you guys want to set up an official club here? And of course, it was a terrifying thought, it wasn't something I decided to do because it was not possible for me to do something like this alone, right? The club is not, the club is never about one person. The club is about the people who make up the club. And at that time, Chris, of course, being one of the co-founders, and Junrong, Junrong?
Yes,
so he was one of the co-founders as well. And those guys said, let's go for it. And so we jumped in. We jumped into the deep end. And because, club memberships are by season, right? So this was about the end of 2014, early 2015. So we said, okay, let's do it for the new season. In 2015, we put out a call for registrations and people turned up. We had our first event, for membership at a restaurant called Ricciotti, which is just by River Walk along the Singapore River, and this was Again, a dear friend of mine who's a Fiorentina fan who owned the restaurant at that time, ironically. Yeah, so we had our first event there. We came early. We were afraid that no one would show up, but people just kept turning up. People just kept turning up. The food we ordered wasn't enough. We had to order some more. And it was very heartwarming, and it was very inspiring, because these were people who turned up because they believed in this. There was nothing.
Yeah.
They had to pay. I can't remember what the membership fee was at that time, but I want to say, like, I don't know, $35 or something. But there was no promise that we could make, right? We just wanted to be recognized as an official club, and for the folks in Turin to say, yep, you guys exist in Singapore. And all of these Juventini turned up to support us just the way they support Juve. And that's always a very heartwarming thing for me.
So as you can see, the atmosphere will be so much different as at home in Turin and in Singapore. As you can see, if you can walk on the street, you can see people wearing different jersey. You can, mingle around together without problem. Do you face any experience when you are in Turin? How the situation like?
That's a tricky question. So most of the time when I go to Turin, I'm on my own, or even if I go with someone else, I'm on my own a lot. The general rule of thumb is you don't wear a Juve jersey unless it's match day. I mean, the thing is, it's not. I always say this: Turin is a very, very safe city. I mean, I for one, I've been going for 10 years now, and I've never had a negative experience. Touch wood,
Okay.
But of course, having said that, don't be stupid lah, don't walk down an alley in the middle of the night on your own and carrying your bag of money, But as you wouldn't in any part of the world. But generally speaking, I've met taxi drivers, for instance, right? And they'll ask, where am I from? I'm from Singapore. Oh, what brings you to Turin? And I always say, for Juve. And then they'll start yelling, swearing, like, all the hands off the steering wheel, like, oh, I cannot believe, why would you come for Juve? These Torino fans, people take the piss, and that's okay. That's okay. No one's, I've never seen a fight or anything. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen, but it's never happened to me.
Okay, you can share with the viewers your experience in the stadium. When that's the first time that you step in? Is it the Alpi or Allianz Stadium? Which?
I've actually never been to the Delle Alpi. This goes back a little further back. I have had no luck in trying to watch Juve versus Merda.
Wow.
The last time I tried, and that was still with the old Delle Alpi, and I was with my husband. We were in Paris. We ended up missing a train. It was so stupid because we missed it by 10 minutes, and there was no other way to get us to the match in time. And so I missed that. And then over the years, every time I try to arrange to watch Juve versus Merda, it just doesn't happen. And then the latest, of course, was earlier this year in February. You know what happened, I was there, went to Lyon, and then, our weekend match got cancelled, right? So no, I've never been to the Delle Alpi. I only started going in the new stadium. So it was funny because I started going to Turin. My first trip was in 2011. But I went twice in the summer and I didn't actually watch a match until 2015.
Oh.
So I would go into the stadium like for a stadium tour and all of that, right? And I still do. No matter how many times I go, I still do stadium tours, and it feels like the first time every time, But yeah, I didn't watch a match until November 2015, and that was Juve Milan. Juve Milan ended up becoming a bit of a tradition for me and my friends, so we've caught a few over the years. And then that Champions League match where we played Manchester City, and Mandzukic scored that the solitary goal, which was an exciting night. That was so cold that night. Oh my God, it was November. And before wind chill, I remember it was -1 degrees. I don't know why I remember this, but it was so cold. And I was talking to Chris when I came back. And Chris was saying, oh, I saw the atmosphere, it was so good. Everybody was jumping. I said, Chris, we were trying to stay alive, man.
Yeah.
At least that was why I was jumping.
You have to do some exercise and jump. You cannot just sit there and just, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it really is the stadium by the Alps. The wind is no joke, especially for us equator people, right? When we go there in the winter, oh my God, you really feel it right in your bones, But yeah, I mean, back to what you were asking about the atmosphere, the stadium. I think when I first started going, the atmosphere was amazing. And I mean, okay, I'm not going to go into this topic because I'm not in a position to speak about it. With as much expertise as people who do live there. But the situation with Curva Sud is a difficult one. The stadium, like it or not, relies on Curva Sud. It relies on them to bring the atmosphere. And I know there's a lot of criticism around, why can't the rest of the stadium sing? And the rest of the stadium, I think, struggles, especially over the years as we get more and more non-Italians coming to matches.
Yeah.
It's easier. My husband is a Spurs fan, and it's easier to go, come on, you Spurs, than sing all of these very complicated verse, chorus. I mean, yes, and it took me years, and I still can't follow all the songs. Like I can follow a chorus sometimes, but when it's time for the verse, you just hum along, right? Because it's difficult unless you truly speak Italian. It's difficult. It's difficult even for those of us who go pretty often, and if we are not speakers. So I mean that, and then of course there's the whole argument of, you're making this a tourist stadium. Because it's too expensive for Italians. So again, I said I'm not going to go into the conversation, but
yes,
you can't have the conversation without going into, there are so many complexities around the stadium atmosphere. I mean, forget the closure, but the stadium atmosphere as it was before COVID, it was difficult. The stadium had been silent, not just in the last 8 months. The stadium had been silent for 2.5 years or maybe more. And it was difficult to watch that transition in the times that I've been at the stadium.
Yeah, it's just like it. We used to watch, or we used to listen the choreography, the fight, the fans, this and that. But suddenly, when everything was silent, it's like something new to us. What is happening? We are not a EPL club or watching the game and buy a popcorn and just eat it until the game. This is
cheering.
Yes, we are Italian football from the start till the finish. We can't stop chanting and supporting the club. So now, my next question is this. As you all know, in Singapore, we are exposed with the Premier League from the old days until now. Means they have the biggest fans. We are the minorities. So is there any friends or person will be asking you, what is so special about Juventus or Italian football that you are supporting, not joining us supporting the English Premier League? So what's your take on that?
You know, having supported Juve for 30 years, I've stopped even bothering to answer that question. Because there was a period when I felt the need to justify it, right? Because you kind of feel like if you are able to justify it, you might get people to see your point of view. They don't have to agree with you. They don't have to suddenly also support Juve, but at least understand why you do. But I've come to realize that they don't. And it's not, I don't know whether they don't because they can't or they don't because they don't want to. And so, I've sort of just been sarcastic about it. And I've always said it's a little bit like expensive wine. If you're used to the cheap stuff at NTUC, you'll never appreciate it. So it's no use me trying to explain to you why it's good. If you don't like it, don't drink it. That's it.
It's fair enough. Yes, it's true. So all you viewers out there who is asking, there's your answer. If you don't like it, don't watch it. Or you don't like that.
Yeah, and you don't have to criticize it. If you feel like you have to criticize it to feel better about your team or your league, then it's not that good, is it? It's a little, because that's the Juventus mentality, right? We don't have to put down other teams for us to be up there. We know we're up there, and we don't have to be humble about it. Even in our darkest years, we were better than the rest of you, and that's who we are, right? And we don't need to put you down and take still shots of your offside, not offside, goal, not goal. We don't need to do that. We don't need to keep a ghost goal photo in our phones for years. We don't, right? Although it's ironic that I'm saying all of this because technically I'm putting other people down as I'm saying this, but you get the point. The point I'm trying to make is we don't need to.
So, okay, now let's go. We are focusing on the match itself. So it's like nowadays, if you are watching Juve match, it's like you don't know what's going to happen. It's like whether we're going to win or whether it's going to be a draw, whether it's going to lose. You don't have that, how to say, that meaning that, oh, this is a match that we are winning it easily. But nowadays it's unpredictable. You thought you're gonna be winning, you've been losing. You thought you're gonna be a draw, you're gonna win. So it's not stabilized yet. So what's your take on the game that Juve plays nowadays?
The older I get, if I arrive at the end of the season and I'm still alive, it's a success. Juve is gonna kill me, I swear. One of these nights, Juve is gonna kill me. But I think we have to give Pirlo time. That's and if I could go back a little bit further, but this is probably an unpopular opinion. I think Sarri didn't get the time that he deserved. He didn't get the resources that he needed in order to do what was expected of him. But of course, we never know the full picture, right? But okay, I mean, I understand why they had to fail fast and eliminate and then move on, right? Instead of linger for another season or another 2 seasons with Sarri and then risk a lot more potentially. Okay, so I get that. Anyway, they're still paying him a shitload of money, so you can't complain. So I think if we go back to the appointment of Pirlo, right? I think that there's so many layers to that, right? I mean, first of all, there is that friendship with Andrea Agnelli. Happy birthday, Presidente,
Yes,
by the way.
yes, happy birthday.
Yeah. So that's a, like it or not, that factor can be quite favorable, right? To Pirlo. A little bit like Allegri, right? He won't get screwed at least. So that's a good thing for him. But I think, and I hadn't thought about this until only a couple of days ago. I thought maybe by the end of the season, we're going to look back on this and think that it was a good decision after all. Because at some point, we were an aging, creaking team for several years. Even with Allegri being let go, he had 1.5, 2 seasons even where the team was a little bit, and we kept winning Scudetti because everyone else useless, among many other reasons. Actually, no, that was the only reason. but but um, but you can see that we were starting to struggle. So what we're going through now is not unexpected. What I think is good about what we're going through now, in unstable as it may seem, is there's some kind of rejuvenation, isn't there? That there's some kind of refreshing of talent, and Pirlo is trying out all of these young boys. We've dropped some fat, even though one piece of fat is still training with us. Very brilliant.
I know.
That's like the last 5 pounds that you just cannot shed. No matter how much you exercise, how much you diet, that last 5 pounds just refuses to go away. But I was just saying to my husband this morning that credit to Pirlo, he has not succumbed to deciding, oh, all right, I'm gonna put him in the team sheet just in case, and I'm gonna use him if things go badly with these younger, inexperienced boys, right? And so I think we have to be patient. The last 9 years have spoiled us.
Yeah, true. That's
so many ways.
That is where I'm going next. That we are spoiled.
So spoiled. I got so offended. Okay, I don't know why I was offended rather than annoyed or anything, but I was so offended and I took it personally almost on behalf of Sari when people were like, last season, I'm not going to celebrate this Scudetto. Oh, it's just another Scudetto. Oh, fuck you,
Yeah.
Oops, am I allowed to say that on our podcast?
It's not okay. There's no sense. Yeah.
Cool. Seriously, do you remember that dry spell that we had?
Yeah.
When we came back from Serie B until that first Scudetto that we won in the 2011-2012 season. Do you remember what it was like? And in this part of the world, do you remember waking up at 3:45, struggling to find a bloody stream because, even when we were in Serie A, our match wasn't being shown because who cares about us?
Yes, true.
And I know that we can't lament those years forever. We cannot, 50 years from now, go, oh, do you remember those? Yes, granted, yes. But we cannot forget what it was like. And these 9 years seem to have, just dissolved a lot of memories around that. I mean, to me, we have to celebrate everything that we win because, winning is not a given.
Yeah.
No matter how useless other people are, winning is not a given.
It's a hard work.
Exactly, precisely the amount of work that goes in to win. Because other people can be useless. I mean, look at Lazio last season, right? I mean, we were useless, but they decided to be even more useless.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we could have easily been that if we didn't work hard, if we didn't focus, if we decided the Scudetto, Scudetto don't lie, Champions League is everything.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, and I think so. Going back to Pirlo, right, and the instability, I suppose, if we call it that we're going through right now, it's a little bit.
Yeah.
I think, I think we have to wait. We have to decide at the end of the season, not not now.
So the big question is now, are we, the fans, ready, trophyless for this season? Are we ready for that?
Are we the fan base, or am I personally?
Whole.
I think the Juve fan base is never ready for a trophyless season, right? It's always a drama when we don't win anything. But I think, so bit of a, okay, so given our current circumstances, right? And of course, every time I get asked, oh, would you rather win the Champions League or the Scudetto? And I'm like, no, I want to win everything. I want to win the Coppa Italia. I want to win the Supercoppa.
Yeah.
I want somebody to win the Ballon d'Or, even though, Ballon d'Or is a joke now.
Yeah.
But anyway, all this, right? I think though that if, and again, touch wood, we end up trophyless this season, maybe even next season.
Yeah.
What will be interesting is that I think we will see a cleansing of our fan base. And I mean, this is very politically incorrect to say on the channel of an official club. Sorry, Asari. but I think that we have had many years. 9 years is a long time. 9 years is a generation.
Not easy.
Some of my friends' kids have never not won a Scudetto. And I think that we have gained a lot of fans, for better or worse, right? And then Ronaldo, of course, and then I don't really understand what's the story with the Dybala camp. Are they Dybala fans or are they Juve fans? So I don't even want to go there because you know what I think about him. But I think that it will be interesting. I think if we don't win, I think it will be interesting. Because when I became a Juve fan, we went through a drought as well. And I guess maybe that's one of those things, right? Like you learn to stick it out. And then I think when we do win again, it's so much sweeter. Do you remember how it felt when we won the 30th Scudetto? I mean, I can't talk about it. I'll probably cry. But because it was so special. And none of the other Scudetti, as special as they were, all special in their own ways, but none of them was like number 30, I am going to cry. So I'm not going to talk about it anymore.
Sorry to make you flashback there. But are you in Turin when they celebrated the 30th Scudetto?
No, I wasn't. And actually, you know what? And this goes back to before the club was a club, right? I mean, this was 2012. And so I had 4 friends in my living room and 1 slice of cake. And the number candles, 3 and 0. And I've been doing the number candles since, right? But it's what's interesting, I think, also about the Scudetti, right? It also, we also see the growth of the club in Singapore.
Yes.
Sort of align with the Scudetti that came from that 2015 celebration onwards. So I mean that's interesting, right?
So let's say you're gonna miss the celebration that they have as a tradition to go to the street and celebrate. Then suddenly, maybe last year or last two season, it stopped. So they only celebrated in the stadium. Do you think that it's good to bring back that celebration on the street to all fans that was there?
So 2018, I think, was the last bus party, right? Yes, 2018, because that was Buffon's last game. And so I went, and whole, like, my friends from all over the world were there. We all sort of convened, right? And we cried a lot. It was a little bit bittersweet, right? Because for a lot of us, it was our first bus parade.
Yes.
It was an amazing experience. Although I would say don't carry anything, like don't carry anything that people can pickpocket.
Oh,
I wasn't pickpocketed, but I've heard stories. Yeah. Anyway, someone tried to snatch my phone out of my hand.
oh.
Yes, and I elbowed the fella. Don't mess with an Arab. Yeah. So the bus parade is something else. It's one of those things that it's a bucket list experience. You have to do it once in your life. And of course, when you plan a trip, you never know whether there's going to be a bus parade or not. Typical. This is so typical. Okay, so this is where, to be fair, the EPL is better than Italy. Okay, because at least they don't change. Yeah, they don't change fixtures at the last minute. They can tell you plans like
Are they well organized?
Yeah, correct. Yes, yeah. So to be fair, they're good in that regard. With Italy, a Sunday match can become Saturday. Saturday match can become Monday. So yeah. Anyway.
So to all viewers, if you are planning to watch the match in Turin, you have to spend at least a week, because you doesn't know. Yes, as Farah said, you thought the match will be on Sunday, then suddenly it changed to Saturday. Then your plan is all would be haywire.
Yeah, okay. So matches can go anytime from Friday evening, and this is Italy time, okay? Friday evening to Monday evening. So I always plan to arrive, I always plan to arrive Thursday, but latest Friday morning. I always plan to arrive Thursday in case, plane get delayed or something somewhere along the way, or at least there's a buffer, right? But the latest you should plan to arrive is Friday morning, and you should not leave until Tuesday morning. At least.
Okay.
That's for a weekend. That's for a weekend game, right? I mean, if you're staying for midweek game and all of that, midweek games tend not to fluctuate too much because there's only Tuesday, Wednesday, right? But yeah. Anyway, what are we talking about? Oh, the bus parade, and should they do more of it? I mean, of course they should do more of it. I'm sure it's very, very expensive though, because all that security, right? I mean, seriously, there is so much. You see cops all over. So I think if you want to commit a crime in Turin outside of the city, bus parade day is the day to do it, because all the cops are in the city. There are no more cops anywhere else. So if you want to go to the museum and steal a trophy, no cops. I shouldn't be saying things out loud when you're recording me, right? Okay, but no, but seriously, there's so much manpower, so much organizing, all the safety requirements. There's always the risk of a stampede. You know how it is, right? I mean, It's literally tens of thousands of people in the street, and it's no joke. It's no joke. You should try to go while you're young.
Thank you about that. Okay. Wow. Just to listen to the experience, to your story, goosebump again. It can start goosebump all over. So yeah, to all viewers, you have to visit the stadium and experience yourself. So by the way, do you have any great experience while you are in Turin of meeting the players in person? Or who is the players that you meet?
It's hard to pin it down. Like every time you go to Turin, you'll bump into somebody. Because the thing, and I think we've sort of heard the players say this about Turin, right? It's a very chill city, and I guess thanks to Ronaldo, there's now a lot more tourism. But otherwise, there is sort of this code, this unwritten code, right? That if you see a player in the street or at a restaurant or something, and especially if he's with his family and kids and all that, you don't go and bother them. You just don't. It's just rude, right? Someone's trying to have dinner, and especially with children, children involved. And the thing about us, and again, we are spoiled in so many ways. Our players are wonderful. They're friendly. They will always stop. They will always do their best. But you have to sort of have some discretion, right? And so they're always around. Like they're at the next table and kind of just wave and you say hello and that's that. Yeah. There have been okay, I'm trying to think. Okay, I know I did meet Buffon, but only because his press conference when he was leaving, right, was at the stadium, and I had nothing else to do that day, so I went to the stadium. So I met him there that once. Although I had a more memorable experience meeting him in Singapore in 2014. But yeah, otherwise it's hard to really like say who and when. Like I can't remember all of it. But they're everywhere. So basically they're everywhere, right? You're at a restaurant and they're there, or you're queuing at a. Oh, we met. I was in Torino with Atul. Okay. And we met Marotta, Beppe Marotta. And he was coming out. He was coming out of a cafe, and this was like in the evening, and he was coming out of a cafe, and then I think Atul spotted him, or one of our friends spotted him, and I was distracted because I saw this very cute dog, and I was off to play with the dog, right? And then I turn around and I see, oh, this Kero is there, but that was interesting because he was just coming out of a bakery and he was like carrying some food or something. You see them like oh, they've come out of the grocery, and yeah.
Without any bodyguard, with nothing.
No.
It's just a normal person that like everyone.
I mean, I've never seen Ronaldo in the wild though, so I don't know what the bodyguard situation is there.
Okay, so let's talk about the squad right now that we have. So I would say, are you happy with the squad we have right now? Because it's a mixture of experienced players and young players. It's something new that Juventus have, because back then the tradition is like everyone have the experience of playing here and there, and their age maybe 30 and above, who knows that. But now Pirlo makes, he decides something new, that we have to put in more younger players as a future for Juventus. So what's your take about it? Is it good to the future, or like Juventus, we knows that if we wants to win now, we won't have that plan for 3-4 years like any other club will do. So what's your take?
I mean, the thing is, because we have not exactly been good with preparing a pipeline in the past few years, I think we have to make some sacrifices when it comes to winning now, right? Yeah. I'm optimistic about this squad that we have now. I mean, look, it's not perfect yet, and of course there are a number of glaring gaps still, right? I'm worried about Demiral, man, because he's turning out a little more fragile than he appears, right? Because I was going to say, look, I've always been a defender person, okay, even though I'm a Del Piero person, but I've always been a defender person, right? I think that Delete Demiral pairing was exceptional when they played together, right? And it surely beats, the other defender that we have. But I mean, it is worrying for someone that young to be getting, a bit of a knock, even if it's small ones, a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there. And then you start to question whether he can be reliable. Not when he plays, he's reliable when he plays, but he plays once, twice, and then out for 10 days, and then 15 days, for 10 days, right? So it's hard to get continuity in the back like that. And then, of course, we know that the other one that we have is not dependable. He's absolutely, I will, I will not, I will argue with anybody on this. He is not dependable at all. He is not a captain. He is barely a defender. But anyway, I think, we're definitely a lot better in midfield now than we were last year, the year before, in Allegri's last year even, right? I think that there's still, I don't know what Pirlo is trying to, he's chopped and changed a lot, right?
He's going to surprise everyone.
Yeah. And I think, I would like to think that he is more deliberate than, just changing for the sake of testing things out. But the thing, you see, I'm gonna sit here and defend Pirlo till the end of the day, right?
People will say no Pirlo, no party.
I mean, look, of course there is a romanticism to Pirlo, and this goes back to what I was saying earlier about the decision to appoint Pirlo. If we fail, I think that the core, of course, there are going to be Juve fans who will slaughter him, but I think that there'll be a core who will say, no, let's keep giving him a shot, and I don't think we'll be throwing eggs at him right off the bat.
He has done a great job of not losing any match until now.
Exactly. Yeah. And the thing is, and apparently that's a record. I mean, I'm not usually much of a statistician, but that's a record for a new coach. And that's the thing. I think we always forget that he's a baby coach. He's a baby coach who had no preseason. And of course, everybody will say, "Oh, all teams had no preseason." Blah 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 blah. Yeah, okay, sure. But Pirlo is a baby coach with no preseason. So if he is changing things out a little bit, maybe he's trying things out. I don't know, and obviously he sees things in training that we don't see. And all we have to do is trust him, right, at this stage, and let it play out. So I think I'm optimistic about the squad that we have. There's always room for better. There's always room to sell. I think we're still carrying some weight that's not carrying their own weight. I think it'd be nice to free up the number 10 for a bit, leave it empty for a couple of years, and then see if somebody else as worthy as Tevez comes into the picture. Because, until today, Tevez was the only one.
Or maybe that's how he was brought up from the slum. That he worked his ass out until what he is today. As you can see nowadays, you have academy, you have this, you have that. But in the old days, a lot of players were being picking up on the street. They know how hard, how passionate there was. So you think, are we going to be back to the basics of doing that, or still continues what we are doing now? And you can see the game now. It seems like a lot of players is too fragile. When you can see the game, every players when you got tackle or you step, they will shout until the whole stadium can hear the way how it was. But it's killing the game too much. Is what I see. Because there's no, how to say, excitement. There's no, the mentality from the squad. It's not there yet. So what can be done to bring back all the glory days at time to the squad we have now?
Italians. I mean, um, it's hard. It's hard to have this conversation without sounding like you're criticizing
Yes.
other nationalities for the sake of their nationalities. And that's not the point at all. But you know, Juve is the quintessential Italian club. And I've been troubled for several years now about the lack of Italians. You know, we used to be the club that contributed the most to the national team.
Yes,
And then
yes, that's true. Yes.
and recently Mancini played a team that had zero Juve players. And that was the first, I'm not a stat person, but that was like the first time in a long time, right? And I think that, you know, while that is very telling for the national team, it's very telling for us, right? And I think we've heard many players over the years say this, right? It takes an Italian to truly know what it means to play for Juve. I mean, you know, to be fair, we have had, you know, a lot of Frenchmen do well for us as well, you know. Platini, Zizou,
Yeah.
Trez. I always forget Trez. Poor Trez. But that Italian core, I think that's what it is. That Italian core, you know. And you see, as I say that, right, it gets me thinking about Cuadrado. He's obviously not Italian, okay? But I think what we have loved about Cuadrado this season is that there is something very Italian in his work ethic. You know, it's the same reason. See, okay, the moment I make this comparison, I don't know how many people watch your podcast, but you're going to get all sorts of comments saying, oh, this woman, she doesn't know her football because she's comparing Cuadrado to these players. And, you know, obviously Cuadrado is better. My point is I'm not comparing quality, okay? But I'm saying in terms of work ethic. I like Cuadrado. I've always liked Cuadrado. And I think there's so much of him that reminds me of why we liked Paduin.
Oh.
And you know, if I go even further back, why we liked people like Takinardi and Conte.
Yes.
They were not, I mean, and again, I'm not talking about I'm not comparing skill, okay? But I'm saying players who are not Del Piero, you know, they are not these players at the top of the game, at the top of, you know, everything, and they wake up, you know, it's like woke up like this, like wake up in the morning and it's easy for them, right? They're not, but the work ethic, they don't give up, and that's lo stile Juve, right? And I think that and given Cuadrado is showing us that, so maybe, of course, you know, we can find it anywhere else in the world, but Juve ultimately is an Italian team. It's Italian owned, and it will hopefully, you know, in my lifetime, remain Italian owned and not get sold to anyone else. And I think it's difficult. It is difficult because it's a bit okay. So let's see. Juve needs more Italians, but what Italians are good enough for Juve?
Yes, that's the main question.
You know, it's chicken and egg, right? And then in the past 9 years at least, we had no time to develop. We could not afford to be a developmental club, right? But maybe now, with Pirlo, with this, you know, team that's getting a bit younger, maybe there is room for some Italians, not Chiesa, to come into the picture. I mean, like, we have all the Italians to buy, right? Seriously?
Yeah.
Bernardeschi 2.0, come on. You know? But that's a whole other conversation altogether. How much time do we have for this podcast? We could talk for 4 hours, right?
Yes.
But you don't post all 4 hours if people stop watching the podcast after that.
So okay. Now let's go and talk about the match, the Derby della Mole match. It's always special to us, special to us. But without the supporters, it's something that we miss, we like. But the performance last night performance, it's not how convincing for me. It's not convincing. Like our motto that we keep from already there until the end. You'll say Fino alla fine. It never shows. So what's the main problem in the squad? Is it the coach already telling them how to play, or some of the players is already been in the squad for a long time and it's not performing? So what happened?
Every time Dybala starts, we play with 10 men. So that's a start. He was all right for maybe about 10-15 minutes, and then after that he became his more famous brother Invisibala. um,
Or is it the adaptation, the rotation of the formation? You're going to play 3-5-2 this week, and then next game you're going to play 4-4-2, and next game you're going to play 3-4-3. They are not, how to say, and the players is kept on changing, and they are not the same players that play for several matches that going to have that click. And
yeah, I mean, there is of course an argument, right, to say if you keep changing, then players don't get a rhythm, right? Yeah. And then of course the other argument is, then players get tired, blah blah blah, right? And we go back to Pirlo being a baby coach with no preseason, and so we have to put up with him changing up the squad before he can figure out what's the best combo. Is he saving the best combos for the Champions League?
Yeah, we don't know. Maybe.
Because if you look at us in the Champions League, we've been doing.
We are different from the yeah.
Yeah. It's okay. Now I'm not going to change topic now because it's go for a whole other matter. But yeah, back to the squad. The thing is, so back to your question, right? Regardless, a change in formation, a change in players and all of that, Torino is third from bottom, right? Third or second from bottom. Well, they are one of the three red clubs.
They are the bottom club.
Yeah. And this is the derby. And I think, more than the lack of fluidity, it was the lack of fight.
Yes.
True. And of course, Torino, I know Pirlo sort of slipped in a sarcastic remark about Torino coming with 5 defenders. Yeah, sure, but that's not new. That's not new, for teams playing Juve, even though, I don't know, somebody else the other day, again, everyone's full of snide remarks nowadays, like, we're no longer scared when we come and play Juve. Okay, very good. Very good. Very happy for you. You're very brave. But still, you say you're not scared, but you put 8 men behind the ball, So, and what we are missing is that little bit of magic, I know before we started recording, we were talking about, like back in the day, even when we were doing so badly, you always felt like somebody, there was magic, right? It feels like a good time to say the name Mario Mandzukic.
That mentality, that fighting spirit, it's lost. I don't know where it's gone.
Yeah, and it just feels, again, back to your point about how players, they you breathe on their head and they tumble and roll, I like Dybala spends yesterday he wasn't so bad, but the previous match last week he spent more time on the ground rolling around than he did with the ball. Was it last week? Was the last match that he played? I don't even, because he's invisible, right? So you can't even remember which match did he play, which match he didn't play. But anyway, every time I saw him, it was because he was on the ground. Otherwise, I didn't see him, right? And it's just, And I think that's what's frustrating. I think that's what's frustrating to watch, especially for us in this side of the world. I always say they're fucking inconsiderate, no? They don't think, at least yesterday's match was early, 1 a.m.
Yes,
They don't think about us, 3:45 a.m. in the morning on a Monday. And then you give us this shit. Seriously, come on, boys. But, and then, so someone like Bonucci, I try not to say his fucking name, but someone like Bonucci, right? With that experience, with that level of experience, he was at fault for the goal, was ridiculously offside when Cuadrado scored. Which also showed a little bit of, it's like, you don't give face, you don't think Cuadrado from the corner, right? Like, you don't give face. I mean, come on, what excuse is that? I mean, it's a shame that Morata wasn't playing yesterday. Morata would have been perfect for a game like yesterday's, right? And to be fair to Morata, he is the offside king of Serie A right now.
Yes.
But without VAR, in the days before VAR, more than half of Morata's offsides wouldn't have been caught, right? Human perception wouldn't have been able to catch those. And it's not just about Juve. Many other teams have been going through that as well, right? Where the precision of VAR has put people's noses offside or something like that. And so it just makes you wonder, like someone who's supposed to be of that quality, captaining the team to be, to make such schoolboy errors that's what makes it so frustrating. And of course, sure, he scored, right? Of course, he scored. And that's all great. And then now, his bloody face is all over my news feed. And sure, but that's the least he could have done. It's not something to Bonucci. It's not. That's the least you could have done to make up for all the stupid things that you did in the rest of the match. A 20-year-old boy is better than you. How old is the league? 2021?
I think 2021, I think.
Yeah, 20-year-old boy is better than you. And you know what? I was actually very pleased when Perlo said, Delete has qualities to be a captain. Make him captain, please. Yeah. Bonucci, look, right now I'm in the Captain Cuadrado camp, okay? Bonucci and Dybala are not captains. Give me Captain Cuadrado and give me Captain Delete.
So would you prefer 3-man defense or 4?
Okay, personally, I prefer a 3-man defense.
Yes, me too.
But that's personal preference. I think it depends on who we're playing as well, right? Because I was actually surprised he went for 4-2 yesterday, because Torino, you would think that he would push more forward.
Yeah.
But maybe it's because Morata wasn't around. I don't know. Or maybe he did want Dybala to he did want Dybala to be a little more creative, but
or maybe he saved the man for the next game. You know who that we're going to play the next game?
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting one, because we don't necessarily need to finish first. And I know this is uncharacteristic. This is uncharacteristic, right, of a Juventina to say this. But to me, we are already through. Sure, we played Genoa, and it's supposed to be easy, but then Torino is also bottom of the table. With Genoa, it's supposed to be easy. And by the way, my favorite Italian keeper, apart from outside of Buffon, it's a Genoa, and Mattia Perin is having a fantastic season. And if we are going to take shots at goal the way we have been taking, like never eat rice, right? I mean, Perin is a fantastic goalkeeper. I think he's so underappreciated. He's had a very unfortunate career. People who know me are rolling their eyes now because I'm I'm giving Perrin a shout as I always do. But he is an amazing technical keeper, and as useless as Genoa may be, we have to be sharper in front of goal. Otherwise, it's going to be another, Benevento, Crotone,
Yeah. It's because in the month of December, we have a very hectic schedule. Like the next match will be versus Barcelona in the Champions League. Then after that, Genoa. Then we're gonna meet Atalanta. We're gonna meet Parma. We're gonna meet Fiorentina. For that, that is where the big test. How to say? We will see what happens in January. So are we? Because now a lot of in the media will say they are trying hard to bring down Juve. The team can't do the good job. They're gonna put the referee to do the job for them. Like for example, yesterday, what the hell, the red card they showed into picture? Why?
Well, I have to disagree with you because
I would say, does he celebrate like this when Bonucci scored and he got the red card?
he stepped on the pitch. So I have to disagree with you that I mean it was a red card, and then I think in that fiasco when they were talking, because Pinsolio obviously was like what the hell's going on, and then Perlo was talking to the referee. Then Perlo stepped on the pitch. And I'm like, fuck no, But okay, the referee had gone off by then. But yeah, I mean apparently that was what the red card was for. He stepped on the pitch. Lucky Pinsolio lah, it's not like. Imagine if it was Morata and then after that another 5 matches suspension. Yeah. So I mean, the thing about referees, everybody always says, "Oh, referees favor Juve." But honestly, I mean, if you look at the numbers, right? Because of course, this is like the outgoing American presidents, right? The numbers don't matter. If you just keep repeating the same thing again and again and again, everybody believes it, So everybody believes that referees favor Juve. But the facts prove otherwise. And actually, if you think about it psychologically to a referee, in order to continue getting the good matches and the big matches, you don't want to be seen to favor Juve. So of course, all the more you end up like doing the opposite of that, right? You will be tougher on Juve, right? And we've seen that, but only we see that. But it's one of those things like it's no use arguing with a wall, So okay, people can believe what they want to believe, but we know the reality because we watch our matches day in and day out. We don't just watch 2-minute clips and then read Twitter and then pass judgment based on that, right? But I mean, to your point, the schedule is getting tougher, right? And of course, is it in January that we play Merda? And we don't want to lose that.
Yes.
Conte and Perlo are BFFs, but we are not BFFs. Our two clubs are the opposite of that. So it's gonna be interesting. We can only wait and see, right?
Okay, now if you being given a choice, maybe you will given a choice to change. What will you expect to change in the squad, players, and even though the formation? If you're given a choice, you will get given a one-time job. How to say opportunity to buy or to sell a player, who should it be?
Well, if you ask me, the one thing I'll change the captain.
Yes, I already know that.
The vice captain, given Piello is still the captain. That's a good question. I would like dependable, even if a little bit old, midfield player. And I want to say like Cruz,
Oh,
know?
yes, of course.
So it could. Okay, what I think might be the peg that we are missing is like what Pirlo was to us as a player when he came. Because he was at the end of his career. Sure, he had nothing left to prove, but he still had so much left. And it wasn't really coming out. He was obviously he wasn't happy, and that whole fiasco with him at Milan. Yeah, and then of course, I know a lot of people talk about Pogba. I've got a friend Gurvin who swears that Pogba is the answer to the world's problems. I'm not certain that he's it. If he comes back free, okay, sure, I'll take him. But I'm not going to pay for him, I think. Yeah, I guess that's a short answer, right? I don't tend to linger on transfers, and it's because there are so many factors at play. We always think that, oh, okay, we have a gap in midfield. Oh, we'll bring in this player and everything's going to be perfect.
Yeah.
It never is, I like how McKennie is developing. I think we haven't seen the best of Artur.
Yes.
And I wish we would see more of him. And if there's one thing, I would change is how much time he gets. And I feel sorry for Bentancur. I mean, he just seems a different person. It's all the hang out with Dybala that he's doing, I think. So Rabiot, I think, has it in him, but he seems to have fizzled a little bit.
Maybe the partnership with Bentancur doesn't suit him.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's possible. I've actually been really surprised by Ramsey. I'm not fond of Ramsey. I'm not, like, personally. I don't like him as a player. I don't. And that's the one thing my husband and I agree on, because Ramsey used to be an Arsenal player, so he hates Ramsey.
Yes. Yeah.
Stupid reasons. But I've been very uplifted by how well he's been doing under Pirlo. I think something is clicking, and that's good. And again, I hope he gets more time. I'm sort of running through the squad list in my head. I think I feel sorry for Bernardeschi. I really, really, really do. Because I think he's not a terrible player. I think he's getting so much shit. That, and a lot of it is deserved, but some of it is not. Because I think he is not a bad player. He's just not good enough for Juve. And I wish for him that he would end up somewhere where he's good enough, smaller team.
To be loaned out for 1 year, and he will take back.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm not really answering your question, am I? Who do I want? Who do I want to bring in?
But now, okay, because the squad, as you can see, we are too dependable in that one player. Without him, we can't achieve anything. So like I think you already know what I mean is, like, are we ready to sell Cristiano and live on and play without him yet? Are we ready? Because as you can see, he doesn't perform that well in yesterday's match, and you already know his attitude. When he lost thing, he just leave it. There's no sense of fighting for the ball, this and that. So it means it's like you do it some of the players saw it. You are their inspiration, the icon. But when you do it like that, everyone would say, "Oh, he's not going for it. He's never get the ball, and he's a lot of things that I would say yesterday's match, a lot of negative things to see about him. So that is this a factor that the fighting spirit is gone in the squad right now?
I think so. Okay, so to answer your question about Ronaldo, honestly, I personally don't think that we are a one-man team. I don't think we are as reliant on Ronaldo as the commentators make it seem. I mean, sure, he doesn't play and we get a bad result, and then because Ronaldo's not there. Although it's not true. I mean, it's not even not entirely true. It's not true at all, right? I think to what you were saying about Ronaldo. Yeah, of course, we've known this. We've always known this about him, right? That he hates to lose, and he's a bit of a brat about it. But I think what you've said exposes a deeper problem in our squad, and it's beyond which players get chosen, what formation we use. It's the lack of leadership, right? I mean, look, we were not prepared when Buffon left, and Chiellini became captain. Since then, someone's going to have these numbers. How many matches has he played in the last 2 seasons, right? Since Buffon left and he became captain. And I think, we didn't have a captaincy, just like we don't have a pipeline of young players, to develop and mold them into the first team. We didn't have a captaincy pipeline. We had a really good captaincy pipeline at one point. We had Kiello, we had Marquisio, we had Mandzukic. And what we lack fundamentally on the pitch is leadership. We lack leadership. And I've said I like the idea of Captain Cuadrado, but in essence, if we think about the difficult games, or when, say, we are 2 goals down and we need to come fighting back, he's not the man to push the team to do that either, right? He's got a good heart. I don't think anyone disputes that, right? He's got good intentions, but he's not a leader, and I think that's what we're really, really missing, because regardless of how Cristiano reacts to us losing or not doing so well, if Chiello was on the pitch, if Buffon was on the pitch, if Del Piero was on the pitch, I mean, yes, we're just, suspending disbelief, suspension of disbelief at the moment, right? Regardless of how Cristiano behaves, other players will not be influenced by it, because the captain is stronger. The captain stands taller than the greatest player in the world. Del Piero was captain among the greatest players in the world, and his leadership shone, right? Especially in difficult times. And that's when you need a captain, right? Yeah. You don't need a captain who misses his man and lets in a goal and then stands offside when we do equalize. You don't need a captain who does well for 10 minutes and then vanishes, or if he does turn up, rolls on the floor all the time. You need a captain who can hustle the team and scare them. Like Chiellini's kind of good at that, right? Kind of scare them. And we have seen this, right, in moments where Chiellini's like, fuck you all, I'm going to do it myself. And he gets the ball, he runs, right? Yeah. And even if nothing happens at the end, the team seeing that goes, okay, I have to try harder, because my captain just ran from the other end of the pitch all the way to goal. Yes,
that's what we are missing. That's true. Yeah. The fighting spirit of the team. It's we have to bring back that mentality out this.
Well, we need to pick a good captain first.
Okay.
So who? Okay, who? I know I've kept throwing some names here, but all of that aside, who would you pick as captain in this team? And Buffon,
not because of age, not because of seniority. No, for me, no. I would see the player, the fighting spirit is there, the mentality is there. I will go with Dilip, of course. I will go with him.
Yeah.
He's
also been captain before.
Yes, from day one to now. Okay, we should how to say, does Pirlo have a game that we wish? What I wish is that he should put all, would say, not a famous player in a match. All the young players who is new, try for a game and see. It's because we have to act now. Because we like I say, you have Cristiano, you have Dybala, you have a lot of famous player and play. Why not a game without them? And let's see what's the impact of the younger players. Are they ready to bring back that great memories that we have in a match? I wish that Pirlo will do that someday. Then we will see the difference between we have star players and normal players who give everything for the club.
You know, there is only one match in the entire season from now that he can do that, and it's against Barcelona.
Yeah, it means like
only
if you lose, you are through. Even if you are win, this squad is you got a good squad in the future. So I will call Pirlo later and tell him about that.
Yeah. you know, we always say like Pirlo is very okay. Pirlo is not impressed, right? Pirlo has no expression, right? I have never seen so much expression on Pirlo's face as I have in the last 3 months that he's standing on that. He started out all like, oh, look at me, all cool, I've got no expression. But then you start seeing, like, you know, the brow creases.
Yes. It's like someone is so worried that things
the constipation is coming.
Yeah, we can see. Hopefully, we don't have any white hair growing here and there. So
he's got the toughest job. You know, he's got the toughest job in the country. I say this, and of course I exaggerate. But no, he's definitely got the toughest job among all the 20 teams in Serie A, all the coaches.
Okay. What do you, for example, now we'll start with the club, your co-founder of the club of Singapore. What do you expect to see in the near future?
That's an interesting question, given the current situation. You know, this has been a very challenging season, and well, I mean, it's not just this season. It started out, you know, at the middle of last season, right? And you know, it's amazing. Asari and team have been doing incredible work. Like I cannot even begin to talk about how amazing the work that they've done, right? They've built a football team from scratch. I know you guys were playing in a league before all of it shut down. And obviously ICC last year was such a pinnacle for this committee that's currently running the club, right? And that's testament to Asari's leadership. That was a fantastic achievement for the club in terms of just getting prominence in the world, right? You know, your curva was louder than the 2014 curva, and rightfully so. And you were in all the Italian papers. So that was brilliant. And I know you were right in the center of that too, Iskandar. And you know, I think that given the challenges that have taken place, I think the team has done an amazing job in trying to keep everybody engaged. Like, you can see there's a lot more going on social media, and what you're doing now with the podcast, right? I know that you've been speaking to some of the members, and that it's always interesting because you want to hear when you can't be together, when you can't come to a match together, right? It's nice to hear from your fellow Bianconero, Bianconeri family. So, what to expect in the future, I think is hard to say because we don't know how long this is going to last. I hope that things settle down soon and we can get together again.
Yes,
We can
get together
think
and fly to Turin together to watch the match.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and you guys can play football again, and I think that's the only thing to hope for at this point, that things will get better in the world. Things will get better in Italy, hopefully, and then we can go back to what was very normal for us in the day, to turn up at Boat Key at 3 in the morning and watch a Champions League match. And go to work after. Right? Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for your time. Thank you for all your great experience, your history. So before we call it a day, I would like to shout out to all the subscribers, to the viewers, to your comments. So do not forget, every week we have a new episode. A new guest will be in the house. Starts from episode number 11. We will go internationally, worldwide, to meet every Juventini that's available, and anyone who have that guts to appear and discuss everything that you want regarding about Juve. So Farah, again, thank you for your time. Thank you for the great moment and the very special episode that you appeared in the podcast. So before we call it a day, any last words to the viewers to share?
Fino alla fine.
Forza Juve. Ciao guys. Ciao Farah. Grazie. Ciao ragazzi.